Hello everybody. So I'm sure as you saw by the title of this video, in this video I'm gonna be doing an unboxing of this thing. One moment. This thing, the DJI Mavic 2 Fly More Kit. I'm also planning to do an unboxing of an additional device, a Beaudens 166 watt power generator, and at the end of the video I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I'm going to be doing with these two devices and if I would recommend them to you. So stay tuned. Okay, now looking at the box, we can see that it's a very simple box. It comes, it's got a small footprint and it comes in this sort of plastic seal. So coming from the front of the box, you get pictures of its contents as well as the name of the product, Mavic 2 Fly More Kit. Moving on to the right side, there's nothing except the website name. Moving on to the other side, again, there's nothing except the DJI logo. And then onto the back, we get, again, the name of the product in various languages. And we also get the address of the company, contact information for the company, as well as the serial codes and all the other regulatory requirements, such as the European Union logos, etc. So let's go ahead and open this. It's a very soft plastic, so let's just go ahead and start ripping it out. And let's get into it. So it's an unboxing video, and let's do some unboxing. So when you open the box, there's actually nothing inside it except a bag. So let's remove that bag and see what else is in the box. So removing the bag, we can see that the box is completely empty with the exception of just a manual for the Fly More Kit. And other than that, the box is completely empty. So it seems that this is actually an unbagging video. So looking at the bag, it seems to be made out of a kind of faux leather type of material. It's definitely not real leather, but it does have that sort of leathery feel to it, which is quite nice. The bag is quite soft and squishy. So starting with the front of the bag, we see it has the DJI logo on the bottom, and we have this flap that contains a pocket. So it's a very small, shallow pocket, and it could probably only be used to store flat items like keys, or maybe some cards, and there's not much that you can actually store in that pocket. So moving on to the side, onto the right side, we have this mesh pocket again. Could be used to store some additional items. Possibly could get a water bottle in there. And it's probably big enough to also store a Mavic 2 battery, although I wouldn't recommend that. On the same side, we also have this metal ring, which is likely for attaching some type of shoulder strap or handle to the bag. Moving on to the left side, it's pretty much identical to the right side. We just have another mesh pocket and another metal ring, identical to the left side. Onto the back of the bag, there's much on the back of the bag. There's no additional pockets. It would have been nice if DJI could have put an additional pocket on the back of the bag, but that might have made it a bit more bulky, and that's probably why they didn't do that. And then finally, onto the top of the bag, we just have this carrying handle, and it comes wrapped in this kind of, I want to say paper. It's like really cheap, kind of like art class paper. So let's go ahead and remove that. So like I said, it's just a bit of cheap paper and could easily be removed. So removing the paper, we see that there isn't actually much on top of the handle, except the handle does say Mavic 2 and it is kind of indented or embossed and gives you better grip. The handle feels quite comfortable to hold, and it's a bit close to the bag, but it's enough that you can get fingers in there and hold the bag. So I guess now we're gonna try and open this flap. So the flap seems to be just attached with some Velcro. There's a bit of Velcro on the front of the bag, and there's a bit of Velcro on the underside of the flap. There is no more pockets on the other side of the flap. There's only that pocket on the front of the flap. On the other side, there's none. And again, on the front of the bag, there isn't another pocket, but there is a pouch. So we can unzip the pouch. Now, one thing I want to mention that I've noticed is that the pouch, the zippers have this kind of rubber seal around them. So that's possibly to help with like water resistance or moisture resistance. I doubt this bag would be waterproof, like if you was to submerge it in water or drop it in water. But if you were to spill a glass of water on the bag, these rubber seals should keep a lot of that moisture out, which is quite good. and the rubber seems to be a really good quality rubber seal around the zippers. So looking into the pouch, we can see that we get two sets of propellers, and each set contains 2 propellers, so they give you a total of spare propellers. These propellers are identical to the propellers that come in the Mavic 2 box, so if you do damage a propeller or your propellers just get worn out over time, you can actually replace them with one of these spares. So that's great. And the pouch also contains a moisture pack, a silica gel pack to keep moisture out during transit, and it's actually a very good size pouch. Like, I could easily fit my entire hand, maybe even both hands, in this pouch. So it's a really good size. It's a really good size pouch, and could be used to store some bigger items like an additional power bank or phones, sunglasses. It's a really great size pouch and could actually store a lot of stuff in there. So let's put these propellers back. And next we're going to be moving on to the main compartments. The zip seems a little stiff, but then again it is brand new, and after repeated usage it might loosen up. So to access the main compartment, the zip starts from the back, and you zip it around the front and all the way back to the back, and now you can fold back the main compartment. So immediately upon opening it, the inside is quite nice. You get another pocket, very small mesh pocket, similar to the one on the front flap, and it can't really hold much, maybe some credit cards or headphones, but certainly wouldn't be putting a phone or power bank in here. It just seems too small. And another silica gel pack for moisture in transit. It's good to have an additional pocket, but you certainly couldn't fit like a passport or anything inside here. It's a very small pocket. The inside of the bag is also covered in this really nice, like, soft touch felt, which is quite nice. And then looking down into the middle of the bag, we can see that we have 2 chambers separated by this foam separator in the middle. And in each chamber we have a box. So I'm going to take the boxes out for now and just put them to one side. And then we can have a look straight down. So you can see this compartment here on the left is the deepest. It goes all the way down to the bottom, and it's about the same dimensions as a Mavic 2. So more likely that is the compartment for storing the Mavic 2. The compartment on the right is about the same dimensions, but about half the height. So you couldn't store a Mavic 2 in there. You could maybe store a Mavic 2 controller, but you couldn't store a smart controller, a DJI smart controller. It's too shallow, but it could store the standard size controller. So I can see halfway down there is a flap, so I'm going to try to remove that flap now. If you see here in the close-up, there is a flap. I'm going to try to remove that flap and see what we get. So I've lifted that flap up. It does seem like the flap is quite stiff, so when you lift it into place, you can actually get 2 of the same size chambers. And then right down there in the middle, we have 2 Mavic 2 spare batteries, and they're just separated by this piece of foam. So I'm going to try to lift both out, straight up, out the bag. Oh, stiff. I should have tried one at a time maybe. But yeah, you got them, nearly. And this is how they come stored. So they're in the bag, and there's just 2 batteries, and they're just separated by this piece of foam. And the DJI just put the piece of foam, put them against each other, and slide them to the very bottom of the bag. So it's quite a stiff fit, and I would recommend to not store them that way. I would probably put them vertically straight down into the middle of the bag. And there's not much to say about these. It's just identical batteries to the one that comes installed in the Mavic 2. Checking the power levels. These batteries do come dead, so before your first flight, be sure to charge them to full. So let's put the batteries aside for now. And looking down, you can see that now that I've lifted that flap up, both chambers are actually the same exact, nearly the same dimension. So you could put the Mavic 2 on either side. And then of course you can have that flap fold down. It's really stiff flap that kind of keeps it shaped in whatever position you put it in. So you can then store, Mavic 2 on this side, some batteries on that side, controller, and maybe some other stuff. And that's it. One thing I would say is that the bag is very squishy. It doesn't have, like, you can get those sort of hard shell cases for your Mavic 2 or your Mavic 2 batteries. The bag is very squishy, and I don't know how well it would protect against a drop or like an impact. So if you were to drop this bag, I don't know how well it would protect the Mavic 2. Like, It's not completely squishy, but it's quite soft. You can see if you had a Mavic 2 here, the sides are very flexible. And I feel like if your Mavic 2 was in here and you dropped it onto the side where the Mavic 2 was, I don't know how well this bag would do at protecting that Mavic 2. And so I would probably recommend over this, even though it's the official DJI carry bag, I would probably recommend you get one of those sort of hard shell cases. The ones where like it's like hard plastic, so that if the Mavic 2 is in there and you drop it by accident, the Mavic 2 is protected by that hard shell. In this bag, the one thing I would criticize it for is being a bit too squishy. I wish they had put like little pieces of plastic sewn inside the sides just to keep it. I mean, it would offer some protection, but it's just too squishy for my liking. It's a bit like a fabric lunch bag. It's a bit squishy, and for a bag that's meant to protect something like a Mavic 2, which is a really expensive product, I don't know that I would trust to store a Mavic 2 in a bag that offers such minimal protection. So that's that for the unboxing. Next, well, not quite. Next, we're gonna have a look at the boxes that come in the Flymore kit. So let's have a look at this first box and see what's in here. So it is sealed, obviously. So let's try and break the seal. And let's see. So opening this first box, we can see it does have what appears to be a shoulder strap. So that would indeed attach to these rings on the side of the Mavic 2. Chihuahua, do you mind? I'm trying to do a review, please wait. It would attach to these, don't sit in front of the camera, Chihuahua. It would attach these rings. So let's have a look at the quality of this shoulder strap. So just get it out. Again, the shoulder strap comes protected in a piece of black paper for some reason, thanks DJI. And to keep it together, they also put a piece of clear plastic to help it stay together during transit, which I will try to get off. So let's try and get that off. And there we go. So there isn't much to say about the strap. It is just a standard nylon shoulder strap. Definitely strong enough to bear the weight of the Flymore bag, even fully loaded. Like this bag can probably lift like 50 kilos, no problem. This strap, I mean. So it does have a little bit of padding on the underside of the strap. So if it was on your shoulder, it wouldn't be stabbing your shoulder too hard, which is nice. And again, the top of the shoulder strap does say Mavic 2, which is another kind of issue I have with walking around with an official DJI bag, is that you don't really want to be advertising that you're walking around with, you know, a 1,000-pound drone. You're like, I would rather have a case that's just completely plain with no labeling, nothing for any thieves to suspect what's inside the bag. The last thing I want is at the airport, someone sees a Mavic 2 bag, knows the value of its contents and tries to steal it. I would much rather use a plain case. So the fact is that again, there's more Mavic 2 branding. It has some quick release hooks, which obviously attach to the hooks on the side. And like I said, can easily bear the weight. So I think that's that for the shoulder strap. One more thing is the shoulder strap is adjustable, as most are. It does have this adjustable mechanism, so you can change the length of the shoulder strap depending on your personal body height. You can adjust that. So I'd say that's that for the shoulder strap. And let's check this box to see if there's anything else. Yes, we do have something else in this box, and it is the charging dock. So one of the things you get with a Flymore kit is a multiple battery charging dock. I believe that this dock allows you to charge up to 4 batteries at the same time. Now, when I say at the same time, this is actually a serial charger, not a parallel charger. And so what I mean by that, and so it comes, it's very compact, which I like. And it comes, you have these, yep, there you go. You have these doors on either side that reveal the connectors to plug the batteries into. And then on the base, you have another battery connector, which would be the one that would come from your mains charger or your car charger, plugs in here. And then you would then open the doors, both. If you're only charging 2 batteries, I think you only need to open 2 doors. But if you're charging 4 batteries, you would need to, if you're charging more than 2 batteries, 3 or 4, you would need to open that additional door. So the batteries just dock to it quite simply. they're keyed. So you can actually put them in the wrong way. On one side of the battery, there's a little bit cut out, a little chunk of plastic cut out, and that would match up with the missing piece of plastic on this side. So we would just get the battery and then just push it straight down and onto the charger. So you would just get the battery, you would go down and forward, and there we go. We have two batteries plugged in, and if you had an additional battery or two, you could then attach it to the other side as well, and it would charge. Now, what I was mentioning earlier is that this isn't actually a parallel charger. So if you had two or more batteries charging on this dock, how it works is it would start charging the battery that had the highest charge first. So let's say I put 4 batteries on here. One had 25%, the other one had 50%, the other one had 75%, and then one of the batteries was 90%. The dock would start charging the 90% battery first. Then once that was 100%, it would then move to the 70% battery, charge that one up, and so on. And so the battery with the least amount of power would get charged last. So each battery takes about 45 minutes to charge. You know, I would say about 40 minutes to 50 minutes to charge to 100% from zero. And the problem with that is that if you had only 45 minutes and you wanted 4 batteries charged in 45 minutes, this is not the charger for you, because if you had 4 dead batteries on this, it would take 45 minutes for each battery to charge. So that is well over 3 hours of charging, because it's not a parallel charger. Now you can actually buy parallel chargers on like Amazon and eBay, which are legitimate parallel chargers, where when you plug in 2 or more batteries, say you had 4 batteries plugged into a parallel charger, all 4 batteries are being charged simultaneously, meaning in 45 minutes, all 4 batteries will go from 0 to 100. All 4 get charged simultaneously. But the DJI charging dock is not a parallel charger. It doesn't charge all the batteries at the same time. It's a serial charger, meaning that it charges the batteries in sequence from the highest charged one through to the lowest charged one. So that's that for the dock. Also in the Fly More kit, we have an additional box, and we're about to find out what DJI gave us for the, I believe, £270, for the £270 for the Fly More kit. You get in this additional box, I believe it's the car charger, as the Fly More kit does come with a car charger, and it is indeed a car charger. So when you buy the Mavic 2, you actually get a mains charger in the box with it, but not a car charger. But if you buy the Fly More kit, so if you're a person that has a car and often travels to places with your car to fly your Mavic 2, and you want to be able to charge your Mavic 2 from your car, you can do this. It actually plugs into your car's lighting socket, provides 12 volts of power, and then on the other side you have the DJI Mavic 2 battery connector, and it allows you to charge. So you can charge either by plugging in one side into your car, and then you can plug the other side into your battery, like so. Sorry, it is keyed, yeah. So like so. So you'd have one plugged straight from the battery into your car, or you can, if you wanted, you could charge multiple batteries at the same time by plugging the mains charger or the car charger onto the dock. So the dock is keyed, yeah. So we will plug that onto the dock just like that. Just plug it out, yeah, and plug it in. Plug straight onto the dock, and then if you were to charge multiple batteries, remember what I was saying earlier is that even though this dock allows you to connect multiple batteries, once you plug it into your car, it isn't charging multiple batteries at the same time from your car. It is in fact charging one at a time, just as if you were to unplug a full battery and plug on a dead battery and then unplug it and so on. So this just does that for you, but it'll charge exactly the same as if you didn't have this dock and you were just removing a battery once it was full and plugging on the second battery. So it'll take the same amount of time. So that's that for the Fly More kit. Oh, wait, I guess I'm checking. Look, this is the cardboard. So it seems that's the Fly More kit. And we put that to the side for now. Sorry, Chihuahua. I'm going to put that to the side for now. Chihuahua, what's it doing? And now for the bonus. Oh, now for the bonus device. I promise you, please, Chihuahua, please sit. Chihuahua, sit. Okay, now for the bonus device. I promise you, let's get it together here. Let's get it together. This, the Beaudens 166 watt power generator, as they call it. However, this thing doesn't actually generate electricity. It just stores it and then it just stores it in batteries and then releases it, just like a power bank. So it's just a power bank, really. It's just a power bank that can put out 240 volts in a main socket. So let's get it unboxed and see what we get in it. So I believe this unit cost again a little over 100 about, I think this cost around 200 UK pounds. So for the price of two additional Mavic 2 batteries, you can actually get this, and this actually has the ability to charge one of these Mavic 2 batteries 3 times, or to charge 3 of them. So instead of getting an additional 3 Mavic 2 batteries and charging them up, you just take that money and you buy this device, which will allow you to charge your Mavic 2 batteries up to 3 times. And as well as you have the additional versatility of it allowing you to charge other things as well as a bonus. So that's why this is a better solution so what I would recommend, you see, the problem with the Mavic 2 batteries is that if you want to fly continuously, the batteries, they only last for 30 minutes and they take about 45 minutes to charge. And so the problem with that is, let's say you flew on the first battery and then you put the first battery to charge. If you only had 2 batteries, you would be flying with the second battery. The second battery would die after another half an hour. So that's 1 hour. That's 1 hour you've been flying, but only half an hour since the first battery. So let's say you fly in the first battery, it dies. You put it to charge, it will take 45 minutes. You start flying with the second battery, that will die after about 25 minutes. But remember, the first battery takes 45 minutes to charge. So you now got a second battery on a charger and your first battery still hasn't finished charging. So this is why you should get at least 3 batteries. So that's why I have the original battery that comes with the Mavic 2 plus these 2 additional batteries. With 3 batteries, by the time the third battery had died, right, the first battery will be full again. And then you then take that third battery and put it to charge. And then by the time that third battery that you just put in has died a second time, you can then get the first battery. And the point is, if you have 3 batteries, by the time you're on the third battery, your first battery will be full again and you can fly continuously. So anyway, coming back to this unboxing, finally, I'm sorry, I know. Let's unbox it. So the box, let's look at the box first actually. So the box is quite large. Starting from the front, it has the name of the company, Beaudens, and it says portable power generator, as well as the model number. And this is the B1502. So B1502. That's the model. Coming on to the right side of the battery, of the box, sorry, there's nothing. Coming on to the left side of the box, we get some check boxes because this actually comes with different main sockets. So you can have you can order one that has an EU main socket on it, one that has a UK power socket on it, which is the model we have, one that has a US power socket, or one that has a Japanese power socket. And this one is the UK one, although it's not checked. And then coming on to the back of the box, we see again, just the name in different languages, contact information for the company, as well as address, and then some specifications, such as again, the model number, and then the various powers. So we can actually read through this. So the AC output, which is the mains plug, will give you 100, the AC output will give you 100 to 240 volts at 50 or 60 hertz, depending on the region. For the UK version, which is the one we have, we will get 230 volts at 50 hertz. And it's a 150 watt max draw you can pull on it through that mains. For the DC output, we have a few options. So we have 2 12 volt outputs, which each provide 12 volts at 10 amps. So that's a very good amount of power. And then we have 3 USB ports. We have 2 USB standard charge ports, and those are 5 volts at 2.4 amps. And then we also have a quick charge port, which can provide either 9 volts at 2 amps, 12 volts at 1.5 amps, or again, 5 volts at 2.4 amps. So let's get it unboxed. Finally, I've been teasing you about this thing so long. Let's get it unboxed. So opening the top of the box, the first thing we get from Beaudens is a little thank you note, which is nice. Not a lot of companies care if you buy their products or not, but they give you a little thank you note. And I can see what looks to be a handle. And I can see that there's actually a separator here. So this part can probably come straight up. So let's do that now. And there's the device itself. I'll put that to one side for now. And I guess this piece of foam should have come with it. So let's just put them back together for the moment. And then looking straight down the box, there's nothing except a manual and a smaller box inside it. So we can take out the manual, and which just says Beaudens and Beaudens manual, just as we did with the Mavic Fly More kit manual, we'll just put that to one side. And again, there's just a little piece of foam just to hold this little thank you note from Beaudens. Again, we put that to one side. And then in the box, we get a smaller box. So what do we get? I'm sorry, did I scare you? What do we get in this smaller box that says accessories? We likely get the charger for this power bank. So let's see if we can figure out, if we're smart enough to figure out how to open it. So it looks like the accessories box opens from the right side or left, depends, I don't know. And inside the little accessories box, we get the mains charger, which looks like it has a 5.5mm DC jack on one end. And its ratings are input between 100 to 240 volts, 50 or 60 hertz, and output 14.8 volts at 3000 milliamps or 3 amps. So that's quite good. That's your mains charger for that. And then we have a little bag with some accessories, and then the little box is now empty also. So let's see what we get. First up is this thing, which has that again, a 5.5 millimeter DC jack on one end, and then the other end, I genuinely don't have a clue. It did say it comes with a solar connector, so maybe that's a solar connector, but whatever this connector is, I don't know what it is and what it's used for, so I'll just put that to one side. And then we have a 12 volt input for it, so you can actually charge this device from a car. So on one end again, we get a 5.5 millimeter DC jack, and on the other end, we just get a 12 volt DC car adapter. And then finally, and this is quite interesting because I will be using this, we get a little adapter that adapts a car's 12 volt socket to a 5.5. Again, they like this connector, and not again another 5.5 DC jack. So that's quite handy. And now onto the main attraction. So it looks like we just have to lift this little piece of foam off the top and have a look at it. And we lift it straight out, this bottom piece of foam. And there it is. So let's have a little walk around the device. So starting at the front, well, I guess that's the front, I don't really know. We get a UK main socket. And as I mentioned before, the box said that this puts out 240 volts or 230, I believe it's 240 volts at up to 150 watts and at 50 hertz AC. Next, we have the inputs plug, which is again a 5.5 millimeter DC jack. We have two outputs. So with this adapter, you could either plug in your 12 volt output to the bottom one or to the top one. I don't know why they give you two outputs, but they only give you one of these adapters, because I won't be able to use both at the same time. I only have one adapter, so I don't know what that's about. And then on the other side, we have again the USB ports. So the top one is the USB 3.0 quick charge port, which I believe can put out, which is that one that can put out like 9 volts at 1.5 amps, 12 volts, as well as the standard 5 volts at 2.4 amps. And then the other two bottom USB ports are just your standard 5 volts, 2.4 amps USB ports, just like you get in your mains charger. So if you buy a phone, you get a mains charger, this will be the same amount of power that comes out your mains charger. And it looks like it gets a little emergency flashlight. It looks very small, not very usable probably. But we'll turn it on in a minute and see if we can get that to shine and see what it looks like. So that's it for the front. We won't turn it on just yet. We'll just do a tour of the device. So moving on to the right side, there's nothing except the logo, Beaudens, with a green rubber line through it for some reason. This line here is made out of rubber. Don't know why. Moving on to the back, we have the label, so all the information, the voltages, etc. about this device, and we have a little air vent. So this is definitely not waterproof. You do not want to get this device wet. You will have a very bad day if you get this device wet. Moving on to the left side now, we have just a warning label about all the various do's and don'ts, one of which is probably not to get it wet. And then again, the name of the device. Moving on to the top, we have this really, I gotta say, really beautiful like nice carrying leather carrying handle. I'm not sure if it's real leather, but it certainly definitely feels like really good, like if it's possibly real leather. So I really like that carrying handle. As for the weight, it's quite a good weight. It feels around 2 kilos, a little less than 2 kilos maybe. And then on the bottom, there's not much, just a rubber feet. So it's anti-slip. So if you have it on a surface, it won't want to slide around too much, which is really great. So let's go ahead and switch it on. So to switch it on, we just press the power button. And it's not coming on, so maybe it's dead. No, you actually, to switch it on, you hold the power button for 3 seconds. So 1, 2, 3. Now it's on. We can see the level of charge is 10%, so it does need a good old charge. And at the moment, it's only outputting in DC mode, which means that this main socket is turned off. So if you were to plug something into this main socket, the power wouldn't flow. The way to get power from it is you have to press the power button one more time. And it gives this very slight humming noise. And that's the little internal inverter turning on to convert that DC power, whatever the voltage is, into the 240 volts, 50 hertz AC that this outputs. So now you get a little label on the screen saying AC, and this AC port main socket will now work. So let's just switch that off. And then on the right, we just have the button to switch on the emergency flashlight. You can have either the beam come straight on, single beam. It'll look a lot brighter on camera than it does in real life. It's really a pathetic little beam. It's just a flashlight for like last resort emergency. It's not really that bright. And then if you press that again, it goes into SOS mode so that you can signal for help. If this was the only flashlight you had available and you wanted to send an SOS, you do it that way. And then one more press switches off that light. So it's just on, SOS, or off. So it's quite neat. And what I will go ahead and do now is see if I will be able to get one of the Mavic 2 batteries charging. So like I told you earlier, with the Mavic 2 Fly More kit, we do get a 12 volt car charger. And as you know, I have my 12 volt car charger adapter. So let's plug that on there like that. And then let's go ahead and plug it into one of the 12 volt outputs. We do have a green LED on the DJI car adapter. And let's go ahead and plug in one of the batteries. So if I press this battery, you can see that it is indeed completely dead. But let's go ahead and try to put the battery on and see if we can get some power to flow to it. And there we go. So I am now charging this Mavic 2 battery from this Beaudens, I would say power bank, really. But this Beaudens power generator, the Beaudens B1502 power generator. Now, in theory, and we all know how theory works, but in theory, this should have enough power inside it to charge one of these Mavic 2 batteries 3 times, or obviously to charge 3 different Mavic 2 batteries. So allowing you, if you had 3 batteries, this thing would double your flight time. So with 3 batteries, each at half an hour, that would give you 1.5 hours of flight. This thing will then double that to 3 hours of flying time, which is quite good. So in a situation where you're going to be away from electricity and you're going to be wanting to fly a drone, and say you're going to be a few days without electricity, well, this will give you 3 hours of drone time. And of course, you're not going to just fly the drone up and fly for 3 hours. You're going to spread that 3 hours of flight time over the course of those days. Maybe 1 hour a day would give you 3 days of flying. And if you were to fly for half an hour every day, that would give you 6 days of flight time. And if you were to fly for 15 minutes each day, that will give you, and you get the point. The less you fly with the drone, the more days you get to fly with it. So let's go ahead and charge all this stuff up. And thanks for watching the video. This is the end of my review of the DJI, where is it? The DJI Fly More kit, as well as the bonus Beaudens B502 power bank. I'm gonna just call it a power bank. It's not a generator, Beaudens, it's a power bank. Thanks for watching.